Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting and some of the things that I am seeing tactically and learning from. Over the last couple of years I basically have been using a 2-point sling, and it works really good for the type of shooting that I usually do, which is, moving around the woods, traveling distances, setting up. I have the benefit of being able to throw this over my shoulder. When I do want to shoot, I can quickly swing this around, come on target. If I need to get into a, like I say, to do a transition, what I do is I swim out of it and I'm able to switch, to my left side, quickly switch to the right side. But watching the videos where Kyle is being attacked, okay, and he did have to shoot in a lot of weird, awkward positions. It doesn't even look like he used his red dot just because he was being attacked at such close range. It looks like it was all point shooting. If Kyle, if he had a 2-point sling like this, he would have had to basically come out of the sling, in order to hit some of those awkward positions that he had to, to get to in order to fire. But the problem with this is that, at one point somebody was grabbing his rifle, and if he basically just had the sling looped around his neck, somebody was pulling on it, there's a good chance that at some point it would have came off. He would have lost his rifle and he would have been killed. So what we see in the videos is that Kyle has a single point sling, okay? And the great thing about this 2-point setup is that it does allow me to switch it over to a single point sling pretty quickly, okay? So basically that goes here, have an end plate QD point here that will take the sling over there, and then I'll attach this here. Okay, great. So now I have a single point sling. One of the reasons why I don't use this is, again, because I'm usually covering larger distances. I'm doing a lot of walking to get to my shooting areas, and the problem with this is that it's basically hitting me in the nuts as I'm walking. It takes some effort to kind of keep it to the side here, but it does have the benefit of, you can shoot basically right over your shoulder, come over to this side, shoot over this side. You could shoot up, you could shoot down, you can come back, online. So you can do a lot of shooting in a lot of different directions with the single point sling. And again, this is something that basically it took this situation with Kyle Rittenhouse for me to see this. Now I've over the years I've trained with a lot of guys. A lot of them had a military background. Most of them prefer the 2-point sling, but they're in a much more predictable situation usually. So they're working as a unit. In the situation that Kyle was in, he was being attacked from all sides. He didn't know. He was basically in a purely defensive situation. He didn't know when and where people were going to come from. He didn't know what his avenues of retreat were going to be. So he needed that flexibility to be able to go from here to up to down. So the single point sling provided that for him. So again, this is one of the things that we have learned, or I have learned, and I've seen other people also mention this. I'm not the first person to say this. The single point sling in that type of scenario where you don't know where you're going to be attacked from, what direction you're going to be attacked from, has some benefits. Now, from this position here, if somebody's grabbing the rifle, whereas before when it was just around my neck, it could easily come over my head. From here, it's not going to come off so easy. So I'm able to retain the rifle. Now, the ideal situation is if somebody's tugging on my rifle, I want to go to my backup pistol, get the pistol out, and finish the job with the pistol. Rather than sit there and play tug of war with the rifle. At that point, basically, this becomes a misdirection or a distraction. While they're tugging on this, I'm using the pistol. But Kyle did not have that option. He had just the rifle, and he had to make it work. And the fact that it was attached to his body allowed him to retain it and be able to fight off the people that were trying to kill him. Again, this is we're seeing a situation with Kyle that is unusual. This is not something that was planned for. That was not something that was anticipated for. Over the years, I've talked to a lot of guys that have a military background, and that's not the scenario that they train for. Okay, they train for different scenarios that are more, that ideally are more controlled. They're engaging at longer distances. They're not, ideally they're not engaging that close. And mind you, Kyle of course didn't want to actually shoot the people. So in that type of situation where you're being attacked, and you're giving your attacker the benefit of, hey, giving him a chance to get away from you, um, you know, you're gonna end up in a much closer confrontation than you would be, let's say, in the war zone, where as soon as you see the enemy, let's say you immediately engaged. So that's the difference that I'm seeing with call scenario or call situation versus the situation that I have been kind of training for over the years with people that have trained me. So this is really important. This is something that I think warrants some attention. So while this is kind of the single point is kind of uncomfortable as far as doing the things that I normally do as far as moving around, I much prefer the 2-point setup. If you do find yourself in that type of scenario where you're surrounded, you don't know where the attack is going to come from, you have a 2-point setup, it might be a good idea to quickly transition to a single point sling, where you can quickly bring the gun around into different positions. So just some thoughts. If you guys have any comments, questions, feedback, please put it in the comments section. If you're not a member of my channel, please subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.